The Grio makes a case in point that Obama is a racist by showing very clearly that Obama is specifically targeting black voters in particular, in accordance with Olivier Knox, a staff writer for the ticket. Olivier Knox's article titled "Obama Campaign Launches First Ad Targeting Black Voters" reads as follows: President Barack Obama's re-election campaign is launching its first ad, specifically aimed at black voters. A national radio spot entitled, "We've Got Your Back," a campaign aide confirmed to Yahoo News. The Grio first reported the news 4 years ago. We made history. Now it's time to move forward and finish what we started together. We have to show the president we have his back, the bass-voiced narrator says over a drum track. Obama crushed Senator John McCain among black voters in 2008 and is sure to trounce Mitt Romney in 2012 in that constituency. But Democrats are leaving little to chance in an election defined by the weak economy, including stubbornly high jobless numbers, and need black voters to turn out in large numbers. The Grio describes itself as the first video-centric news community site devoted to providing African Americans with stories and perspectives that appeal to them, but are underrepresented in existing national news outlets. Just like in 2008, we can be assured that thugs working for Obama's re-election campaign will be, once again, strategically placed at voting stations where Obama must win the vote. They'll bully black voters to again vote for Obama.
4 Democratic officials and political operatives in South Bend are now charged with forging names and signatures of unsuspecting voters on those petitions in the 2008 presidential election. Reports say so many names may have been illegally forged that the president may not have legally qualified for the ballot.
In addition, there'll be more murder and mayhem at Obama's whim to cover up more voter fraud and vote theft, as was during the previous 2008 presidential election.
And several other senators and state Democratic leaders on the scene here trying to figure out what went wrong. And the big question, of course, is why would anybody do this?
The Congresswoman from Ohio, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, who was an African-American lady who had campaigned for Hillary from the beginning to the end, and she never wavered in her support, even though she had major threats from the Obama campaign and through the black community that she needed to switch her support.
And so what happened then?
Well, unfortunately, Stephanie Tubbs Jones died of a supposed brain aneurysm 2 weeks before the convention.
And so what did you do in response?
We had been contacting state party chairs in every state, and the state party chair is basically head of the delegation that goes into the convention. And not one state party chair got back to us except Bill Gwatney, who was the state party chair of Arkansas. And he had said that he was going to support our petition, he was going to have the delegation sign it, all of them, and that they were going to go into Arkansas, which is A, which was one of the first letters of the roll call to be called, and they were going to all vote for Hillary on the first ballot.
And what happened?
He was murdered the next day.
Should the Americans be expecting another executive order, specifically drafted by Obama, to cover his tracks for voter fraud and voter bullying the same way that he did to hide his past by sealing away from public scrutiny all of his personal records.
Lord Monckton, shifting gears, what's the latest you've got breaking from Hawaii?
Well, it's very clear now that somebody in the Hawaiian Health Department knew that the document that now appears on the White House website is a forgery. It's clear it is a forgery, that much we've discussed before. But it's now clear, and I did an analysis on this for my fellow hereditary peers, those are the people who don't have a seat or vote but still take an interest in politics, but have a historic connection with the House of Lords. And I do papers for them from time to time, and they do them for me. And what I've discovered is that when you analyze exactly what happened, how this document came to be requested, how it found its way to the White House, it's very clear that even if the White House didn't know this document was a forgery, and there's a certain amount of evidence that actually it didn't, there's a lot of evidence that, in fact, it's really compelling and overwhelming evidence that somebody, and I don't know who, in the Hawaiian Health Department knows that document to be a forgery, and that he, in fact, as his very first executive order when he took office, on the first full day of his holding office, was an order sealing all his personal past records. A most extraordinary first executive order by a president. Narcissistic in the extreme, you may think. But why did he do this? He did this, presumably, inferentially, because he has something to hide.
Because it was the sword of Damocles hanging over his head and expanding. The mainstream media acts like we've been given proof after proof. First, they said we'd always been given the original when it was clearly a receipt that wasn't even a copy of the original. They said nothing else existed. Then they gave us the ridiculous fake. Then Abercrombie, right before that, the governor of Hawaii, where you are, said to the reporter, well, I've looked, it's not there. Obama has a problem. That's a quote. A few months later, it pops up. They never let forensic inspection happen. The AP and others had a different weird copy, all different colors, different fonts. I mean, this is crazy. And the fact that they've sealed all their records, they said it was a conspiracy theory, that he'd never been named Barry Soetoro. That was later confirmed.
Obama's new ad should be interpreted as a deliberate racial attack on all Americans who are not black. Every American who is not black should ask this question. Since Obama is half white, why did he not take up any case regarding any white teenager being shot to death via a self-defense case of law and claim that young man could have been his son by stating that if I had a son he would look just like Mitt Romney or John McCain? Americans truly should question why Obama chose to have his son to look just like Trayvon Martin.
You know, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon.